The end. Minecraft's most desolate and empty biome, inhabited by nothing more than Endermen and the void itself. The perfect place for someone like me to go into hiding. You see, over the past couple of months, my team has found itself in conflict after conflict, and I was tired of it. I decided it was finally time to retire and build the largest base I ever have in this dimension over the void. A place where me and my team could finally have the peace we desire. To do this though, I need a blueprint to go off of, so I decided to boot up a creative world and start building. Before I get too carried away here though, let me explain some things. Basically, this build is going to be over 100,000 blocks in size, so I'm going to divide it into 4 parts to make resource gathering easier. In order to build a base this size, I'm going to be using World Edit and another mod called Lightmatica that allows me to copy a build on a creative world and paste its schematic into Lifesteal, then build in survival Minecraft. Let me quickly explain the idea of this build as I'm world editing in the background. My team is called the Eclipse Federation, so I had the great idea of building a massive solar eclipse to use as the shell of the base. Luckily for me, World Edit has commands that lets me make a perfect sphere and paint onto it easily. So making this star was relatively easy. I then added a few flares coming out of the sun to add a little more depth, and with that, the first portion of the build is finished. So after quickly grabbing a schematic of it, it was now time to gather the resources and lifesteal. The main materials needed are concrete, glass, glowstone, and shroomlights. I would need 4 shulker boxes of each of these blocks, so I decided to start with one of the most tedious to gather, shroomlights. Okay, what is this? Oh my good lord. Chat, this one makes 30,000 shroomlights an hour. The other one makes only 1,500. I think we can see which one's a little bit more reasonable to build. The best way to get shroomlights was through building a farm, so I decided to build a smaller, relatively easy one whilst I was live, which obviously didn't end well. Sanus, it's substream. No! No! Oh my god, why? So that was fun. On the plus side, the farm was finished and working. One slight problem though, I now needed the crimson fungi to actually grow the trees that spawn with shroomlights, so I then had to build this whole other farm. Not only that, I also now had to go and get bone meal, which in most circumstances would be really difficult, but I just so happened to have this monstrosity laying around from the last time I needed it, so getting mass amounts of bone meal was actually quite easy, allowing for me to finally AFK the shroomlights. And with that, we now have all of the shroomlights. With shroomlights checked off the list, it was now time to get sand for the concrete and glass. What the fuck is a chat? I glance over and all I see is Booba Among Us. Join the cult! No! Once I got all the sand, I headed back to base and... What the f is this? Remind me never to stream on twitch.tv/itsubs_ again. You should totally drop a follow. Anyways, with the sand now acquired, all I had to do was smelt half of it in the glass, so I made a normal super smelter. Or at least it was normal until I did this. Patterns, I think the Goliath has been completed. We have a carpet utopia, chatters. Look at how fast it fills up in my... Oh my god. In case you're curious about how exactly this thing works, basically there's this massive carpet duper on top of the smelter, which produces infinite fuel for all of the resources going into the machine that gets smelted. All you need to do carpet is a piston, slime block, and dead Cordal fan. Yeah, it's that simple. With this, glass is now crossed off the list, and I can now gather gravel for concrete, which just leaves glowstone. Luckily for me, though, one of my closest friends and teammate, Prince Sam, offered to trade with cleric villagers to get all the glowstone for me, meaning all the materials for phase 1 had now been crossed off, bringing me ever so closer to my goal of moving into the end with my team to live out our days peacefully. Well, that was the plan until my other teammate Vitalicity called a meeting, and he wants everyone to subscribe because I'm really close to 100k. It would mean the world if you subbed.
Okay, so I'd like to mark the beginning of phase 2. What is phase 2 and why are we doing phase 2? A bedrock prison is to be built at spawn for the next 24 hours. Why are we building the prison? It sends a standard to the entire server so that if anyone decides to be a tyrant, they will be placed in such prison.
Can I say something? I don't think this sounds very good. Can I show you guys something here? Follow me, please. I wrote room signs. Yep.
Now, before this meeting continues any further, let me explain something. My teammate Vitalicity has been obsessing over a 5-step plan, and we are now on to phase 2. We'll talk about what phase 1 was a little later. Zam, however, doesn't agree with Vitalicity and believes that using exploits to stop tyrants on the server is hypocritical and potentially even detrimental to the server's health. All of this was voiced through signs because he was too afraid of what we think of him if he outright said this to us. Now, back onto the topic of exploits, over the past couple of months, strange things have been occurring on the server, ranging from mobs that can one-shot players, bedrock appearing at spawn, and even stacked totems. Vitalicity just so happened to have access to these exploitive powers, allowing him access to bedrock.
I made a promise at the beginning of the server. I wanted to White Tyrants, the one that stops the server from imbalance.
What do we owe the server? You know, this entire time we've been on here, people have kind of just like disregarded us. Why do we all of a sudden owe everybody this huge favor? Why do we have to stop people from being evil?
If we don't, then who's gonna stop people like Leviathan?
I mean, maybe a while ago when I first made the Eclipse Federation, that was kind of the goal as well, but now I've kind of come to realize that we don't necessarily have to do that anymore.
To be honest, I didn't agree with either of my teammates. Sam wanted to get revenge without using exploits, whilst Vitality wanted to get revenge through using them. I, on the other hand, just wanted to stop fighting pointless battles. I didn't care about the other members of the server at all. I only really cared about the members on my team and keeping them safe, which is why I wanted to move to the end and live there peacefully. Lucky for me, Vitality decided to halt the plans on the prison until further notice, allowing me to begin working on the next part of my build. Solar eclipses consist of two main bodies, a sun and a moon, so obviously that means I now need to add a moon. Instead of just adding a lame gray circle though, I decided to take a chunk out of the moon, adding bits and pieces of it floating around. I then textured it so that it looks like the sun was casting a shadow on the moon, and then added molten cracks through it to place emphasis on the fact that it's destroyed or breaking. This portion is honestly my favorite part of the whole build, and it turned out really well. This once again meant I needed to gather resources in lifesteal. Lucky for me though, these resources were far simpler. All I would need is tough, deep slate, andesite.
Guys, do not look up the Vaporeon coffee pasta. It does get water absorbed and hydration as its abilities though. Mega Lopunny, don't even get me started on Mega Lopunny. Oh my god. I ain't a furry, but goddamn, bro.
Basalt, blackstone, and magma blocks.
You described in great detail what you want to do to a Lopunny. Guys, dude snitched!
As for the concrete, I luckily already had sand and gravel left over from the previous part, so there was no additional farming needed for that, meaning all the resources for phase 2 had now been gathered. After completing this part though, Zam called me and Vitality together for one last meeting, or was it?
Well, I've thought about things a lot. If you'd like to follow me, come down here. I want us to move forward together as a team. I think that we should build the prison, Vitality. I think that you should build the prison. I think that I should believe in you. I think I've been unfair. I haven't trusted you. I haven't truly trusted you. So I'd like to put my trust into you and believe in your ideas.
With Zam's ideologies now matching Vitality's, I decided to stay silent about how I thought building the prison was pointless and would only cause us unwanted problems. I didn't want to potentially cause another rift in my team, so I thought keeping silent was the best choice. I went with my team to spawn and build the prison they wanted. For the first time in a while, Vitality and Zam seemed to be happy again, finally being able to see eye to eye, and as long as that relationship stayed, I assured myself that everything would be okay. For now though, it was time to start working on the next part of the build. I wanted to build a giant serpent wrapped around the star, lunging towards the moon. Why exactly? I don't know, symbolism and stuff is cool, I guess. Now, I thought this wouldn't be that bad. I was wrong. It took me over 10 hours just to figure out how to make the head of the serpent, and even then it still looked like a deformed worm. I then had to make the body looping around the star, and for this, World Edit wouldn't be much help, so I had to place and mold the shape of it by hand, which took an additional 10 hours until I was finally satisfied and ready to paint over it. Considering I had never tried building organics before, this didn't turn out horribly. Lucky for me, I already had most of the resources for this part. I just needed to gather a little more of some of the resources from earlier, like gravel, sand, basalt, and blackstone. That was until I realized how much obsidian I needed. Now, gathering obsidian isn't that hard, it's just time consuming. You just gotta go to the end and mine the obsidian pillars. Well, let me introduce you to what phase 1 of Vitality's plan was, removing every single end portal, meaning there was no end to gather obsidian. However, if Vitality could obtain bedrock, I'm sure he could potentially have end portal frames too. So I went to him to ask about it, and then he took me to a vault completely full of illegal items. So I may have taken a little bit more than just the end portal frames. Regardless of that though, I now had the ability to return to the end to begin gathering obsidian.
How much obby are we at? We're about 1/27th of the way there. Yippee, nearly done. I don't think that's how math works, but you know what? Sure. 118. Yeah, we have 3 extra stacks. We're done, chatters. That's it.
With obsidian now gathered, all that was left to do was convert my concrete powder into concrete. So I used this concrete converter machine thing that I don't even know how to explain to AFK this process. With that, I now had all the resources I currently needed for the shell of the base. That's when I got a message from Prince Sam.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, subs. I have questions for you. Okay, well, I guess first questions first. How much do you trust Vitality?
I mean, I don't really have a reason to not trust him. Do you not trust him at all anymore, or what's going on there?
I don't know. It's just, I'm a little afraid. I've started to use some things together. I don't think anyone should have that kind of power. I just know I don't think I want to be on the side that has the exploits.
Then, if you're not on the side that has the exploits, What do you do? How do you combat the exploits? How do you make sure that it doesn't get out of hand?
I don't know, but I'm gonna try my hardest to make sure that I can do what I can, and that's what matters, really.
Zam explained that he no longer trusted Vitality or any of the exploits on the server. He thought all of it was bad and he wanted to be rid of them. Before I really had time to think or convince him otherwise, it was too late.
I have a very simple standpoint on the glitch, and it's that I don't think it should exist at all.
Are you second thoughts about the prison?
I'm having a lot of second thoughts, Vitality. I've come to a conclusion, really. If we're gonna keep using exploits, I don't want to be on this team.
I think the problem's rooted deeper than just us. What's leaving us really gonna change? I know you just don't believe in the exploits, but if we use it defensively...
I refuse to stand on the side that is using exploits again. It doesn't matter what the prison is for. The fact of the matter is that it uses Bedrock and that's exploits, and I don't appreciate that, Vitality, at all.
Damn, did you just do that?
There's no way you betrayed. There is no way.
I didn't want it to come to this. I'm sorry.
You think that I'm the tyrant? You just killed a defenseless player?
I'm sorry.
Zam betrayed us. The person that I thought was my closest friend on the server just betrayed me like it was nothing. All that time I spent in the past trying to help him meant nothing. Maybe this was all avoidable though. Had I tried to talk to Zam and Vitality about things more, had I acted like a proper leader, all of this could have been avoided. Vitality wouldn't have been killed and Zam never would have felt the need to betray. All I had ever wanted was for my team to be happy. I wanted us all to live in the end, not having to worry about the server's problems. How could I do that now with a member missing? It was now just Vitality and I. At this point, I had gone way too far to stop working on the base. So despite this betrayal and my now wavering convictions and self-doubt, I decided to gather the last of the base's materials. The final part of this build is interior design, but I'd rather not spoil that. So I'm just going to gather the needed resources, or should I say resource. The only thing I was missing for the interior design was quartz blocks, and I decided mining for it was a good idea.
Would you still love me if I'm who? Why the f did he say that? I was gonna say somebody had to put him up to that. What is wrong with him? Chat, we're done. We did it.
For you, that took like 15 seconds, but for me, that took nearly 10 hours to gather all the quartz, but at least it's done now. With the quartz down in my possession, I now had all of the resources I needed in order to build the base, so I gathered all the materials and headed to the end to begin building.
Me and the Enderman, we're homies. It's not like I've killed a bunch of them because they got in my way and I'm about to kill a bunch. Oh, this is so annoying. I'm asking you in the kindest way possible to please leave. Alright, that marks the moon's completion. It definitely stared at an Enderman, but oh well.
With the moon completed, it was only natural that I now move on to the sun.
So I've just had the horrible realization that this is not centered at all. I mean, look at this. It's like 5 or 6 blocks off, and there's nothing I can really do about it. That's it for the star. That took way longer than I thought. I expected this to take like 2-3 hours. I think this thing took 7 to 8 hours just to build this. This is done. Finally, this is done. And now it's time to work on phase 3. I've got all the shulkers on me here. We got to make our way over to there. And then we got to start building upwards here. It's going to be really fun and exciting, I'm sure. The Endermen are invading. They think the serpent is theirs. This ain't yours. The moon is yours. I gave you the moon. It was an offering. You want to invade my other territories, yet here we are. You stupid Endermen. We've done it. It's done. Build is complete. That only took like 4 hours. Which means it's the interior next, which is cool. That's epic. This is the final phase.
Everything on the external end was now completed, meaning it was now time to move to the inside. The first part of the interior design, I decided to make a tunnel through the snake going into the stars. This tunnel actually used the design from one of my bases way back in Season 2 of Lifesteal, and I thought it fit quite nicely here. Now with a completed entryway, I could actually begin working on the main portion of the base, and what I like to refer to as the core. The core is divided into a few different sections, with each section being used for for something different. The first one I decided to start with was the villager section, and well, you'll see how I got the villagers later. Alright, that is this section done. I want to move on to the section over here, which is just like storage and stuff, so we're gonna do that. This time, we're gonna be doing something a little bit different here. A little bit different than how it's built. Alright, so I'm sure you're probably wondering, what's this special thing? Well, we don't exactly have a way out of here yet, and a way out is, some would say, very important. This will just take you straight back to the overworld. Though I may have had a few extra end portal frames from earlier. This portal was excellent as a way to return from the base, and after a short while of building, the section was now done and I could begin working on the next one.
Wait, I think the section's done.
With the third section finished, all that was left to do was the middle section, so I built this really cool looking dome ceiling with arches and another chandelier to finish off the build. Except there is one more thing left to do.
Okay, so I'm sure everybody's been wondering, what are these? What are these, you might ask? What are these big towers of a glass with no bottom? Well, you see, there's one more resource I need, and that's hoppers. And you're probably wondering, why do you need hoppers? Well, you see, if you've known about Minecraft factions back in like 1.8.9, these are mob farms that use something a little bit special. How special, you might be wondering? Well, you see, very special.
The final part of this build involves setting up a spawner system for automatic farms. I may have gotten these spawners earlier when I yoinked a few things that I shouldn't have, so I then set up an iron golem farm using the spawners in order to AFK the iron I needed for the hoppers. I then set up a pigman, enderman, and a creeper farm. With a few extra of the spawn eggs, I spawned in the villagers, meaning the base was now officially finished and ready to be shown to my remaining teammate Vitality. Well, at least that was the plan if he hadn't gotten himself banned. After Vitality had built the prison, the players on the server rallied against him in order to ban him from the server, leaving me completely alone to my thoughts. I began to slowly realize that I must have been the problem. The players on this server have always tossed me aside, and now even my own team did. I thought that if I tried to avoid conflicts, if I tried to live peacefully in the end with my team, maybe then the server wouldn't see me as a burden. But I was wrong. No matter what I did, I was always left alone. With that in mind, it came to one final decision. Vitality may have been banned, but I could still revive him through an item on the server, so that's what I did. I revived him and led him all the way to the end.
Could you turn your render distance down to 2 for me?
Render distance to 2?
Yes. You know, I've had a lot of time to think, a lot of time on my own, and I've been trying to think of the best solution to all of the problems that we've kind of been facing on this server. Eventually, I came to a conclusion. Here, crouch right here on this button, and when I tell you to, turn your render distance to 16. You ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Welcome to the final Eclipse Federation base.
What? What?
My masterpiece.
Oh, what am I looking at?
What do you mean? It's the Eclipse Federation. It's home. There's still more. This isn't it. You've got one more place to go.
What? What do you mean?
There's water at the bottom. You can go first if you'd like.
Oh my... What? Oh my... God!
It's beautiful, isn't it? Over here, we've got villagers. Over here's storage, crafting, and this is how you leave. We have here 4 different farms. Here's Enderman. Over here, we have Iron Golem. This is the best iron farm you will ever see in your life. Over here is a creeper farm, and then we also have a gold farm in here too, right here.
And after giving Vitality a tour of the base, I decided it was time for one last talk.
Vitality, you're the only person that can make this server a better place. You're the only person with the drive, the determination to bring this server into a better era. And maybe exploits are wrong, maybe they're not the right way to fix everything, and I honestly don't even know what the right way to fix everything is, but I'm sure you can come up with something, but I don't think I have any place in that. I don't think I can stand with you anymore. Everything I've done has led to misfortune. Every time I tried to make peace, every time I tried to help people, every time I did anything, it always led to people getting hurt. I don't belong here. I want you to kill me.
I'm not picking that up.
Vitality, I've thought and thought about a solution, about any way out, and this is it. If I'm here, I'll only hold you back. You don't need me here for that.
I do.
Vitality, what right do I have to stand here with you? It's my fault Zam joined the Eclipse Federation. It's my fault you were hurt. I'm the reason that everything's escalated. Everything's gone to shit because of me.
You'll be back, right?
Vitality, if you really can't do this on your own, and if you really need me back, maybe I'll come back.
You will come back.
I can't promise that.
Make me a promise. I promise I will kill you if you promise that you'll come back.
But then this means nothing.
Promise.
I promise. If you need me, I'll help.
I'll see you around.
Yep. I'll see you around.
Alright.